Quantum Echoes, a detective's race through realities. In the neon-drenched corridors of a city sculpted by quantum marvels, Detective Marcus Weller navigated a reality few could comprehend. With the skyline, a jagged pulse of technological prowess overhead, Marcus employed a tool beyond the ordinary, a device that allowed him to summon alternate versions of himself from the shadows of parallel universes. Crafted by the brilliant Dr. Alina Zhao, this tool was not just a testament to human ingenuity, but a lifeline woven intricately into the fabric of Marcus's daily existence. On this particular evening, as the city hummed with the electricity of a million lives, Marcus stood flanked by two contrasting figures, the professor and the enforcer. The former, a version of Marcus wrapped in scholarly tweed and marked by a contemplative gaze behind sophisticated glasses, offered insights drawn from realms of advanced quantum theory. Beside him, the latter incarnation, the enforcer, stood broad-shouldered and battle-scarred, his tactical gear a stark contrast to the glittering backdrop of the city. Together, they formed a trio not just bound by shared features, but by a common purpose: to unravel the complex cases that the city's advanced criminal minds devised. As the plot thickens, they find themselves not just hunting shadows, but hunted by them. An unknown antagonist, as brilliant as they are elusive, has begun targeting the alternate selves summoned by Marcus's device. Each disappearance, each attack on his alternates, draws a tighter noose around the realities Marcus has come to rely upon. With Dr. Alina Zhao by his side, a race against time begins to uncover the identity of their mysterious foe, who seems always a whisper ahead, always just out of sight, like a quantum echo mocking their every move. As the stakes rise, so does the realization that the key to solving this enigma lies in understanding the very technology that binds their fates together. Can Marcus and his alternates outsmart an enemy who knows them all too intimately, or will they become mere footnotes in a warping narrative of reality itself? Amidst the perpetual neon glow that bathed the city's quantum district, Marcus Weller stood silently, analyzing the crime scene that sprawled in front of him. The room was stark, the only sound the low hum of quantum processors working overtime. On the floor lay alternate Marcus I, the professor, lifeless, his scholarly tweed jacket soaked with dark crimson. His death was not just a loss of life, but a crucial blow to Marcus's investigation. The professor had been pivotal in theorizing the quantum entanglement anomalies they'd been tracking. Later, in the safety of Dr. Alina Zhao's lab, Marcus and Alina hunched over holographic displays, their faces grim. "It's like chasing shadows," Marcus muttered, scrubbing a hand over his face. Alina, more composed, analyzed the data streams. "These aren't random acts. The quantum signatures left behind suggest a methodical eradication, Marcus. Whoever is doing this knows exactly how to manipulate the very fabric of quantum existence." As they spoke, a message blinked onto the screen, a cryptic mix of quantum algorithms that only someone deeply versed in quantum mechanics could understand. It was from the enforcer, his military-trained alternate, who had been investigating leads in a parallel reality. "Found something crucial. Meet at coordinates X157, Y903. Urgent." The message was stark, its implications clear. Night had fallen by the time Marcus reached the coordinates. The location was an abandoned warehouse at the city's edge, where the bright lights didn't reach. The enforcer was already there, pacing like a caged animal. His scar over the left eyebrow seemed more pronounced in the dim light, his posture rigid, ready for combat. "They knew I was onto them," he growled as Marcus approached. "Had to dodge a quantum snare that would have erased me from existence." Together, they pieced together the information, clues gathered across realities, anomalies tracked, and near misses recounted. It became apparent that their antagonist was not only a step ahead but was taunting them, manipulating events to lead them to this precise moment. Whoever is behind this, they're not just killing alternates, they're erasing possibilities. Every death is a potential reality collapsing, Marcus concluded, the weight of their situation settling over him like a shroud. The enforcer nodded, his eyes hard with resolve. "Then let's stop chasing shadows and start chasing them back," he said. The two prepared to dive deeper into the quantum labyrinth, unaware that eyes watched them from the shadows, the antagonist observing every move, their distorted voice a whisper lost in the hum of the city. Rain slashed the panoramic glass of the high-rise as Marcus initiated the quantum leap sequence. His eyes, reflecting the myriad of data streams on the holoscreen, narrowed in grim determination. The city's neon drenched the dark office in a surreal glow, casting long shadows that danced with each flicker of light. He was not alone. Elena stood beside him, her expression taut with concern, fingers poised over the quantum device's console. The air shimmered like a disturbed pond, and suddenly, Marcus was elsewhere, now standing in the ruins of what looked like an ancient library, books scattered like the leaves of autumn. The transition had been seamless, almost unnerving in its smoothness. He could feel the presence of the antagonist, a form that shifted like smoke among the stacks of books. As Marcus stepped forward, the figure solidified, revealing glimpses of features eerily familiar, yet disturbingly foreign. Each step he took, the antagonist morphed, showing the faces of people Marcus had once known, friends, and even versions of himself. "I see you've figured out how to track me across realities," the distorted voice of the antagonist echoed in the vast, decrepit space. "But understanding why I do this, that's beyond your grasp." Marcus, his heart pounding against his ribcage, moved through the maze of bookshelves, each step calculated and quiet. The enforcer's tactical advice whispered in his memory, keeping him alert to any sudden movements. He could hear the professor analyzing the situation in the back of his mind, offering quantum theories that might explain the shifting surroundings. But it was all Marcus here in the flesh, facing his foe. "Why are you doing this? What do you gain from killing every version of me?" Marcus called out, his voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through him. The antagonist paused, and for a moment the air was thick with unspoken truths. "With each version of you gone, I reshaped the quantum landscape. You, in all your forms, possess the power to challenge my vision of a new order. Without you, I control the narrative of reality itself." The revelation struck Marcus like a physical blow. It wasn't just murder, it was erasure, an annihilation of all possible opposition across multiple realities. His resolve hardened, and he knew what he had to do. As the antagonist lunged, shifting through forms in a disorienting flurry, Marcus dodged, relying on the combat instincts of the enforcer. He drew closer to the core of this quantum labyrinth, each movement bringing him nearer to his target. The antagonist's form settled on a particularly menacing version, larger and more imposing, but Marcus saw through the illusion. With a swift, decisive motion, he activated a device Alina had slipped into his pocket, a quantum disruptor designed to stabilize quantum states temporarily. The antagonist's form flickered, caught off guard, and solidified into a single vulnerable reality. "This ends now," Marcus declared, his gaze locking onto the now unchanging eyes of his nemesis. The battle that followed was brutal but swift. As the disruptor held the antagonist in a fixed state, Marcus delivered the final blow, a calculated risk that paid off. The figure before him dissolved into quantum echoes, the threat neutralized, at least for now. Breathing heavily, Marcus stood amidst the quiet ruins, the weight of his actions and their necessity settling around him like the dust from the shattered shelves. He had preserved the sanctity of reality, but at what cost? As he prepared to return, he realized the battle for quantum sovereignty was far from over, but today a critical victory had been won. His other selves, wherever they were, would rest easier tonight. The meeting room, once bustling with the usual din of the lab, had fallen into a charged silence. Marcus, the professor, and the enforcer leaned into the center of the table, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of the digital blueprint displayed before them. The professor had just outlined their strategy, his voice steady despite the weight of their undertaking. Dr. Zhou, standing slightly apart, watched the trio with a mixture of admiration and concern. She tapped on her tablet, sending the last of the data to Marcus's device. "This should help you navigate the shifts more smoothly," she said, her tone a blend of professional coolness and personal worry. The room was thick with the anticipation of the coming confrontation. The trio reviewed every aspect of their plan, from the timing of their quantum jumps to the paths they would take to intercept the antagonist. The enforcer laid out a series of small black devices. "These are quantum disruptors. They'll help neutralize any quantum field anomalies we encounter," he explained, his voice rough like gravel but reassuring. Marcus took a deep breath, feeling the weight of his coat against his shoulders, the fabric heavy with both armor and the responsibility of leadership. He glanced at each member of his team, their faces set with determination. "We all know what's at stake," he began, his voice firm. "We have one shot at this. One chance to stop the killings and expose whoever is behind this. We rely on each other and we protect each other." Nods of agreement followed his words. The professor adjusted his glasses, a small smile playing on his lips, a rare glimpse of confidence in such grim circumstances. Dr. Zhou stepped forward, her device in hand. "I'll stay here and monitor the transitions. If anything goes off pattern, I'll guide you back," she promised, her eyes meeting Marcus's. As the plan set into motion, each member of the team took their designated roles with a solemnity born of necessity. The enforcer led the way, his steps silent despite his size, followed closely by Marcus, with the professor bringing up the rear, his eyes constantly scanning their surroundings through his glasses, which displayed a stream of data only he could interpret. They moved through the city's underbelly, a stark contrast to the neon-lit skyscrapers above. Here, in the shadows, they would launch their desperate attempt to reshape their reality, or die trying. Each step forward was a step into the unknown, but together they moved as one, united by a common goal and a shared resolve to end the threat looming over their fractured realities. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a final golden glow over the city's futuristic skyline, Marcus stood atop the Quantum Research Center, a structure that mirrored the complexities and nuances of the realities he had traversed. Beside him was Dr. Elena Zhao, her expression one of relief mixed with contemplation. Behind them, the professor and the enforcer engaged in a subdued discussion, their figures silhouetted against the fading light. Today marked the culmination of Marcus's most perilous case yet. They had unearthed the antagonist, a former quantum physicist turned rogue, whose twisted vision of a perfect reality was driven by a desire to erase his own tragic mistakes across multiple dimensions. His plans now lay in ruins, much like the isolated life he had led, a stark contrast to the camaraderie and unity Marcus had found. As the cool night air brushed against his face, Marcus reflected on the journey that had brought them here. Each reality visited, each danger faced, had peeled back layers of his own character and of those he had come to depend on. The professor's wisdom, the enforcer's courage, and Dr. Zhao's unwavering support had not just been pillars in his quest, they had reshaped his understanding of existence itself. Sometimes, to control the chaos around us, we must first master the chaos within, Marcus mused aloud, his gaze lost in the city lights that sprawled beneath them. Dr. Zhou nodded, her eyes reflecting a shared insight. The bonds formed through adversity were unbreakable. Yet, as they stood victorious, a whisper of uncertainty lingered. Had they seen the last of quantum threats, or was this just a prelude to more complex challenges ahead? In the quiet that followed, a piece of advice that the professor had once given him came to mind. Quantum mechanics teaches us about probabilities, not certainties. Embrace the uncertainty, use it as a canvas to paint remarkable possibilities. As the team descended from the rooftop, their silhouettes merged with the neon-lit bustle of the city. A reminder that in a universe of endless possibilities, the bonds we form are the closest we come to defining our own reality. Maybe the true mastery of quantum mechanics lay not in controlling it, but in navigating its uncertainties with trusted allies by your side. And so, life in the city would go on, with Marcus and his team ever vigilant, ever ready to explore the next quantum echo that might ripple through their reality.